Internet exploded when Quentin Tarantino said, I'm going to do a Star Trek movie. I've talked to J.J. Abrams. We've gone to Paramount. They love the pitch. We're going to be developing us. I may direct it. We're going to make this Star Trek movie. And everybody got excited. And all the memes started going around of John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson in Star Trek uniforms. And, you know, say Prime Directive one more time. Anyway, so...
like that. How you saw it playing out?
And then it just kind of went away. It just kind of very quietly, nothing ever came of it. It kind of went off into the good night. Well, now, Mark Smith, who wrote the Academy Award-winning film, The Revenant, the movie that finally got Leonardo DiCaprio his first Academy Award, Mark Smith was working the script with him, was writing the script with him. And Mark Smith is now saying, this was going to be the greatest Star Trek film of all time. This comes to us from the folks over at Variety who said this. And this is Smith talking. He says, Quentin and I went back and forth. He was going to do some stuff on it, and then he started worrying about the number. I mean, this was, of course, he only had one more movie to do. His kind of unofficial number of films, Smith said. I remember we were talking, he goes, if I can just wrap my head around the idea that Star Trek could be my last movie, the last thing I will ever do, is this how I want to end it? And I think that was the bump he could never get across. So the script is still sitting there on his desk. And he goes on, I know he has said a lot of nice things about it. I would love for it to happen, Smith said. It's just one of those things that I can't ever see happening. But it would be the greatest Star Trek film, not for my writing, but just for what Quentin Tarantino was going to do with it. It was just a balls out kind of thing. But I think his vision was just to go hard. It was a hard R. It was going to be some pulp fiction violence, Smith continued. Not a lot of language. We saved a couple of things just for special characters to kind of drop into that Star Trek world. But it was just really with the edginess and that kind of Tarantino flair. Man, what he was going to bring to it, it would have been cool. And I think that's what a lot of people, when Quentin Tarantino first came out and said he was going to do Star Trek, that's exactly what a lot of people I think had going through their heads. That's what they wanted. And I'll tell you the reason I was excited about it. The reason I was excited about it was because when you got an all-time great kind of filmmaker like a Quentin Tarantino, my one critique for the great Quentin Tarantino is that he's never really in his career ventured outside of his sandbox. You know, Quentin Tarantino's got a certain kind of film he likes to do and make his films a certain way that fit within this one sandbox. And they've been glorious. He's made some of the most gorgeous, beautiful sand castles in the history of the business. But I kind of got excited because I was be like, what would Quentin Tarantino do if he could step outside of that sandbox a little bit?
I feel the same way. And I feel like this could have been like a Quentin Tarantino adjacent, so he wouldn't have to put it towards his count because it's like an Elseworlds for him. You know what I mean?
But I mean, if he directed it, it would have to.
I know, but like he has like a repertoire of his own, right? And this would be like, you know, an addendum to that. He could do it.
Now, Rob, what's interesting here is the guy saying this is not some schlub intern over at Paramount. This is the guy who wrote The Revenant is saying, I think this would have been the greatest Star Trek thing ever. I mean, and what was also exciting to me, and maybe not exciting to you, I don't know, but not only was I excited about it would be something different for Quentin, be something different for Star Trek. And to see what they could have done with that. And this just kind of makes me lament even more we're not getting it. We want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's episode, Rocket Money. Do you struggle to save money every month? With Rocket Money, you can quickly identify all those sneaky subscriptions that keep charging you month after month and cancel any you no longer use. For example, did you know that over 80% of people have subscriptions that they've completely forgotten about? It's too easy to subscribe to a free trial of something and then completely forget about it once you stop using it. That's why I'm such a big fan of Rocket Money. I've told you guys before that when I started using Rocket Money, I realized that I was still subscribed to a gym in another city I had moved away from 2 years ago. Also, my
music service? Yeah, I found out I was still subscribed to 2 others. How much do you think you're paying a month on subscriptions? Most people think they're paying $80 a month, but they're actually paying closer to $200. That's why I use Rocket Money. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. With Rocket Money, you can easily cancel the ones you don't want with just the press of a button. With over 5 million users and counting, Rocket Money has helped save its customers on an average of $720 a year and $1 billion in total savings so far. So stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and manage your money the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/Campea. That's rocketmoney.com/Campea. rocketmoney.com/Campea.
And you hear his comments. What do you think? And do you think maybe this ever could see the light of day?
Well, I do actually. And here's the thing. Quentin Tarantino is a writer-director, and he didn't write this script.
Right.
So it's odd.
He kind of came up with the story.
Yeah, he came up with the
story.
Here's what I don't understand. Like, Quentin Tarantino, after his success in the mid-'90s, he started his own releasing company, which was Rolling Thunder. He put out, like, Switchblade Sisters, and he put out Wong Kar-wai's Chungking Express. That's the first time I saw a Wong Kar-wai movie, because he released it in this country. I don't understand why he doesn't make this a Quentin Tarantino Presents and have someone else direct it. Because, with his oversight, make it like Tobe Hooper doing Poltergeist. Spielberg was there, Spielberg was involved. And because Quentin Tarantino is not, he's not going to direct, he was never going to direct a movie he didn't write. He just was never going to do that. So I never thought that this was a movie that he was going to direct anyway. Because, like he said, he's going to make 10 movies. He's a writer-director, and he's truly an auteur in every sense of the word. But if this script exists, written by a guy who wrote The Revenant, which is a great film, I don't see that there's any reason why this movie couldn't see the light of day. And that Quentin Tarantino, maybe after he does his 10th film, The Movie Critic, or whatever it winds up being called, why not do this? Because this might be... I often said before the new iteration of Star Trek, when Discovery came out from Secret Hideout, I said, why not go back and do what they did with Galactica? Rather than try and make films in Star Trek continuity, why not go back to the beginning and take all of the Star Trek elements and reimagine the universe? You don't have to, this idea of setting it in continuity or whatever. Galactica did a wonderful job of retaining the spirit of what the original Galactica was about.
Greatest show of all time, my friend.
It's an amazing show, and they kept all the elements. And the gender no one ever complains about the gender swapping of Starbuck. They did before it happened, but
they did before it happened, but yeah.
Katie Sackhoff completely. I mean, I like Dirk Benedict, but don't get me wrong, the original Galactica was never that great. And I'll tell you, I think that this there's something that could really be done here, and I think it would be great for the franchise. I mean, the Kelvinverse movies are often an alternate universe. Do the Tarantino verse in Star Trek. This could be the shot in the arm that Star Trek really could use. And if the script is that good, why not have someone else direct it?
Yeah, he could produce script oversight.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like have Tarantino come in, because this wouldn't count. Have Tarantino, J.J. Abrams, Mark Smith come in and sit down with, and talk to some directors and say, this was Quentin's vision for this film. Here's the script. Do you think you can bring this vision to the screen? I see some people in the live chat already saying, Robert Rodriguez. I don't think I'd want it to be Robert Rodriguez, but I think there are other directors that could come in and get in tune with Quentin Tarantino, what Tarantino's vision is, and bring it to the screen. And maybe it's something they can do later.
Off the top of my head, who I think should do this. Let me give you a few movies this person has made. Shaun of the Dead, Baby Driver, Edgar Wright.
Edgar Wright would be
Edgar Wright
so
directing
good for
this movie, this script. I know Edgar Wright is also an auteur, but Edgar Wright would nail this. If the script is that good, Quentin Tarantino presents Edgar Wright's Star Trek or whatever.
I would completely be down for that.
Bruh.
100% I'd be down for that.
Once again, Robert Burnett should be in charge of Paramount and Star Trek, but
Simon Pegg
whatever.
can still be Scotty.
And Simon Pegg can still be Scotty. Well, there's no... By the way, the cast for the Kelvinverse is great.
Oh, it's an amazing cast.
And if they've got this, I mean, you put that cast in this movie directed by Edgar Wright, you know what? It would outgross anything the Kelvinverse has already done.
Possibly could. All right. Guys, question is for you. What do you think? Do you wish this movie had gotten made? Maybe it still can get made just without Quentin. Or listen, I still don't believe Quentin Tarantino's not going to direct another movie after The Movie Critic. I still believe at some point he's going to get the creative itch, and maybe the Star Trek film will be his triumphant comeback in about 4 or 5 years. Who knows? We'll see. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.